Ever heard of the term the mountains call you back? Well, in our case, it was the jungle that called us, making a noise so loud that we couldn't ignore it. A tigress named Partdev had given birth to a litter of 5 cubs, and in the winter of 2021, all 6 of them were being sighted together. This was probably the only chance for anyone to see them together before they grew up to form their own territories. So that became the sole mission for our visit to Pench National Park, to sight Partdev and her cubs.
Welcome to Pench National Park. We are at the Surya Gate, 6 o'clock in the morning, and we are out on for our first safari. Super excited.
We're here to see a mother with 5 cubs. So the current tigress who is very much on the hot list of every visitor is Pardev with her 5 cubs, 3 males, 2 females, and she has been sighted 2 days back.
Pench National Park lies at the border of Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh. The core area has 3 entry points: Jamtara Gate, Karmajari Gate, and Turya Gate. There are 3 routes that take you to the inner areas of the jungle, and for our first safari, we are allotted Route 2.
The plan of action for Partey is going to be quickly tracking and seeing if she is there where she was yesterday. And if not, we are going to risk everything and we are going to go about 8 kilometers detour and try and see if she has walked that long distance yesterday night after a saturated time frame in this Bagandala area.
Why do you think she wants to move? Is because she spent too much time in this area?
Yes, definitely. Almost 2 weeks is a long time, and it's very important for tigers to mark their territory. And she has a huge territory, almost 30 square kilometers is what she is dominating right now.
So this is Partdev's area, approximately 30 square kilometers. And this is Bagin where she has been for the past 2 weeks. In order to maintain dominance over their areas, it's important for tigers to keep marking their territories. Partdev has been in the Bagin area for a long time. Moreover, she hasn't taken her cubs along this route, probably because it's a hike. So Rohit predicts that after being here long enough, she may have walked this distance at night when there is less vehicular disturbance. So our first stop will be at Bagin. If we don't find any evidence, such as calls or pug marks, we will take an 8-kilometer detour in the hopes of catching up with the tigers here. However, it is a risk because if they are still in this area, we might miss our chance of spotting them.
We are going to go up, go to a point where I feel she may cross during this long spell of about 12 hours of no one being inside the jungle as tourists. So we are going to try and go ahead of the tiger, and if there is nothing happening there, like no evidence, then we slowly start coming back. So that's the plan of action. This is Naya Talab. New water. गाड़ी घुमा के लगाना जल्दी से और आगे जाके रोकना कॉल सुनते 30 सेकंड थोड़ा कॉल सुनते हैं बंद बंद बंद
Alarm calls are basically a form of animal communication. They are distinctive sounds let out by animals such as langurs, deers, or sambars to indicate the presence of a predator. Langur calls, however, are more reliable as being on trees, they have a greater visual advantage. Birds also let out alarm calls to indicate the presence of a bird of prey, such as hawks, eagles, vultures, or owls. We didn't hear any calls, So, as per the plan, we decided to take the detour.
मेल सांबर आ रहा है चार चार काउंसलर वाला मेल usually run all the females run.
Looks like animals aren't very different from humans after all. Here, the female deers are running away from a male sambar who's chasing them.
अपन सीधा पहले चले गए दलदली तक ठीक है वहां तक रेस करना है वहां तक कुछ नहीं हुआ तो अपने को उल्टा आना है ठीक है आज पूरा एरिया पाड़देव का होगा पूरा टाइम 11:30 तक हमने चकना आइटम ही लाए खाने के लिए पुणे से बढ़िया दिवाली का फराल दिस इज 38 नंबर कैंप
Inside the national parks, there are camps where the forest officials reside to mainly keep an eye out for any illegal activity, such as hunting, poaching, or deforestation. They also keep a track of the tigers and other wild animals. Some are also responsible for taking care of the elephants that are used for patrolling. Yeah.
खूप दिवसांनी असं काहीतरी बघितलं असतं
The jackal is a part of the canine or the canidae family. Some of the other members of the family include the fox and the wolves. They mainly differ in their size, their habitat, and their diet. Wolves are the largest of the canine family, whereas the fox is the smallest. Wolves and foxes are found in most continents, whereas the jackal is confined to the Middle East and South Asia. They are all carnivorous, but the jackal is also an opportunistic omnivorous. The wolves stay in packs. Dhole or wild dogs are also a part of the canine family, and they too stay in packs. They are usually found in Central, South, East, and Southeast Asia. Does Parthiv have her usual routine roads that she takes?
Yes, he definitely. All tigers will have routine roads, and Partdev's roads are in such an area where they are not visible to us from the tourism routes. But yes, this road that we are on right now is one of the main roads that we can hope to see her crossing, especially and maybe sometimes if she's comfortable, maybe walking on the main road as well.
Most of Pardev's area lies either in the non-tourism zone or in areas which have no routes. Either way, we don't have access to any of these zones. So the road we are on is the only route where we can hope to sight her. To avoid being seen, the tigers and leopards prefer to walk through the inner routes than walking on the road. But they have their crossing points on certain roads that is a part of their usual route. Almost all the guides and other forest officials are aware of all the routes each tiger takes and are also aware of those that happen to be the tiger's favorite. How big is their area?
I calculated to up to 30-35 square kilometers, which is quite big. As big as young developing males. They slowly earn their territory.
The tiger cubs are usually born with no vision and they gain complete vision only at the end of 2 weeks. The cubs are completely dependent on their mother for care and protection. Apart from the times the mother spends hunting, the cubs are always close to their mother. Male tigers who aren't their father can be a major threat. The mother spends a lot of time licking her cubs to stimulate their circulation and bowel movements. She even eats their feces so that their scent is not detected by potential predators. The cubs stay with their mother for almost 17 to 24 months, and during this period, they are taught pouncing, climbing, stalking their prey, and hunting. When they are capable enough to protect and feed themselves, they leave their mother to form a territory of their own, which they have to earn.
देखिए रुको टाइगर का फोन जाना पीछे देखो बीच रोड थोड़ा पीछे आराम से आराम से आराम से बस यार
This is leopards.
लेपर्ड ये बड़ा लग रहा है यार मेरे को थोड़ा लेपर्ड के लिए बच्चे का टाइप लग रहा है तो बच्चे हैं ना उससे बड़े आते हैं.
We found our first pug mark at Bhondwal Dobri, and due to its size, there was a debate whether it belonged to a leopard or a tiger cub, because the two are often confused with one another. But there are a few distinctive features that set them apart. The pug marks of a leopard are smaller, more compact, with the pad and toes held together closely, whereas those of a tiger cub are more spread out. Furthermore, they are usually accompanied by another set of pug marks, as a tiger cub is always close to its mother.
It's fresh or what?
Yeah. Female है.
There are a few ways by which you can tell if the pug marks are fresh or old. Old pug marks usually have more dirt deposited over them, and some will have tire marks as they are run over by other vehicles.
चलो यहाँ पे तेंदुआ हो सकता है. अपन वापस आते. चलो आगे गाड़ी आ रही है. थोड़ा आराम से आगे जाएगा. ये देखो पीछे लो टाइगर है. ये देखो यहाँ से टाइगर घूम रहा है. ये देखो मेन टाइगर इकडे. ये पंजे बड़े हैं. पंजे लागले पीछे जाने के. हाँ
नहीं
मेल का है
सिंगल है ये, और पीछे जो लगे वो छोटे हैं. वो तेंदुआ
वो टर्निंग पे भी लगे. वो तेंदुआ टाइप लग रहा है पर मेरे को तो वहीं पे टाइगर लगा था. फीमेल का था पर वो जो था वो.
The difference between a male and female pug mark is mainly that the pug marks of a male fits into a square and that of a female fits into a rectangle. Moreover, the toes are more rounded in males and elongated in females.
चलो आगे.
We found another set of pug marks at Arjal Matta.
आगे जाने दो.
Our eyes lit up, and we were getting ready to see the 6 tigers at any moment now.
क्या बोला टायगर वरती आले.
आपण वरपर्यंत जाऊ आणि लगेच खालती येऊ. लाईक आय डोंट माइंड मिसिंग द फर्स्ट हाफ, बट आय वॉन्ट टू बी अहेड ऑफ द टायगर. आय डोंट वॉन्ट टू स्लो डाऊन एट द रियर एंड when I know that there is a high chance of her moving forward. She's crossed all of that and she's heading upward because खूप दिवस झाले का नाही गेली पिल्लांना घेऊन तिकडे. म्हणजे प्रे तिला खालती मिळतं इझिली, नो डाऊट, बट देन इट्स सो इम्पॉर्टंट दॅट द कप्स सी ना. म्हणजे खाणं इज मोर इम्पॉर्टंट दॅन मुव्हिंग. मेबी शी इज wanting to buff them up and then take them for the long walks for like peak winters. So maybe that is happening like past 2 weeks पासन. म्हणजे किलवर सांबर संपलं की स्पॉटेड डिअर, मग परत सांबर, मग छोटं पिल्लू, काहीही चालू आहे. ओके सो नाही सो ते खेचून घेऊन 6 वाघ फाड त्यांचे तुकडे घेऊन गायब. आणि ते जनरली स्टे हिडन ना.
The distance between Baginnala and Arjal Matta is a hike, and the cubs need to be well fed before they can start their journey. That's probably why Parthiv has been in the Baginnala area for so long. Being an open ground, it was easier for her to catch a prey. As we were nearing Daldali, the pug marks disappeared, and that place was surrounded by deers, making it less likely for tigers to be around, as the deers would have either fled the area or would have definitely let out some alarm calls.
आगे है ना. बंद कर दो.
बच्चे से चलती हुई आई वहां तक. अर्जल मत
अपन एक काम करे, थोड़ा नहीं आगे चलते, आगे तक पंजे देखते आते हैं. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए वो आली जोड़ तक पहुंच गई.
The tigers had definitely walked till Arjal Matta, and it is possible that they might have continued straight ahead towards Ali Jod. Because a couple of weeks ago, Partdev had made a kill in this region, an open ground just ahead of the camp, and had directed her cubs towards it. So now, assuming that they need to regain their energy after this long walk, Pardev might have caught another kill here. So, with all the evidence that we have, our new plan of action was that we will scout the area till Alijod and make inquiries at the camp in case they had seen or heard anything.
कैंप तक जाके आते हैं कैंप वालों को पूछते हैं कुछ आवाज वगैरह आएगी क्या और फिर उल्टा आते हैं
A few meters ahead of Daldali, we heard calls that came from a distance, strengthening our theory of the tigers moving towards Alijod.
हाँ बच्चे सहित तो वहां तक अर्जल मट्टे तक की चलती आई इधर
हाँ।
ये दूर हो रहा है सामर भी और रियर
अभी आवाज ये
Camp 40 is a camp that mainly takes care of the elephants. The elephants are tamed and used for patrolling the areas where vehicles cannot go or it's too risky for the forest officials to be on foot. Elephants spend almost 16 hours feeding. The officials at the camp take care of these elephants and feed them 10 rotis per day, each weighing 1 kg.
काम करो ये जो मोवे की सर्विंग है
A elephant.
आगे आगे ये हाथी के पास नहीं आएगा सीधा वो मत 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 है
Oh my god. कशामध्ये?
ये मस्त लाइक he ready to meet he's secreting that
It's a game of patience now. It is up to it.
घुमा लो ठीक है
क्योंकि अलीगढ़ साइड बच्चों को बहुत कम लेके जाती है
The calls had stopped, so we decided to head back and make inquiries at the camp on our way.
हाँ जयनाथ कुछ आज था कब अभी मिला था
क्या मिला था क्या मिला था
क्या मिला था तेलवा की बाघ हाँ बाघ मिला था कि तेंदुआ
तो यहाँ पे तेंदुआ है ले लो आप
Turns out that the calls that we heard on our way to Alijod were in fact for a leopard. But it brought us back to the bigger question, where are the tigers? Meanwhile, the jeeps coming from Karmajari Gate observed movements of 2 tigers in this region. One of them being Collarwali, the legend of Pench, and she dominates this area just adjacent to that of Partdev's.
वाली गुल्लू पेट से अंदर हुई पूरा रोड गई
हाँ
और मेल तिराहा बाइसन कैंप तिराहा से इधर चला गया गुल्लू टेक में लंबर भट्टा के आसपास निकल सकती है
कहाँ पे जाऊँ मैं डायरेक्ट
सही होता मतलब कुल्लू टेक से इधर आई है
गुल्लू टेक से गई है गुल्लू टेक से थोड़ा वो बड़ा पत्थर है
हाँ
वहाँ हुई नाला से अंदर हुई
ठीक है राइट में इधर से जाएंगे तो राइट में
हाँ राइट में या तो लंबर भट्टा निकली हुई या तो फिर रिवर्स अपने धावड़ा स्ट्रेच मार्क के पास निकली
ये यहाँ का दावड़ा स्क्रैच मार्क ना
मेरे को शक हो रहा है कि लंबर भट्टा निकल
हाँ उधर का मुंह मारता ना
Everyone who is associated with the national park understands animal behavior, and they also know the personality type of each tiger, whether it is shy, bold, or aggressive. And based on that, the possibility of a sighting is predicted. The national parks also have their own lingo, where road hi road chalna means that the tiger was walking right in the middle of the road, and cut gai means that the tiger left the road and cut through to the inner areas.
मुंह वो तरफ था
ये रूट है
हाँ
तो इसमें
पंजे लगे हैं अर्जन मट्टा तक से और यहाँ पे कॉल था शायद तेलवा के लिए तेलवा
नाही आपण इकडे
अपन कॉलर
नहीं 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 ले लो वहां तक जाते हैं अपन दलदली तक क्योंकि कॉलर वाली अपन वहां पहुंचते तक यहाँ पे कुछ गेम हो गया ना मैंने इसको वापस मार देगा और 8 राउंड थे कॉलर वाली के
This time, we had decided to focus on one tiger. And only if there's absolutely no chance of spotting that tiger will we move on to the next. That's why, even after receiving information on Collarwali, we kept pursuing Partdev. Although our guide was a little reluctant as he had the fear of missing out on Collarwali's sighting. It's heartwarming to see How the guides and drivers have this friendly competition where their only aim is to give their clients a good sighting. So now, we were heading back to Delhi to see if there was any fresh evidence.
और अपनी गाड़ी को मुझे
गाड़ी पूरी टोटल कर्मजीरी की थी।
वो क्या लग रहा है, कॉलरवाली चलेगी?
हाँ लग रहा है कॉलर वाली चलेगी।
चलने के मूड में थी।
हाँ, चलने की मूड में।
We were in a fix. On one hand, we didn't want to leave the six tigers, but on the other hand, we didn't want to miss out on the possibility of a potential tiger sighting. So, we sat there contemplating our next plan of action.
हाँ यहाँ से निकल गए क्योंकि कल जो वहाँ होम ग्राउंड पे थे ग्राउंड पे तो रात को चलते आए यहाँ
पूरा चले।
हाँ काफी दूर तक के चलेंगे अगर इधर जाती है तो फिर उधर तो कोई चांस ही नहीं रहता है अगर इधर जाती है तो सीधा बाजू नाला चांस बन जाता है
What is there right now? And after 8:39, when the sun is out, they will start their movement.
So they have also walked the longevity. They 444 meters करने पे 580 meters of चल रहा था।
आपका दिवस पड़ रहा है ना तुम बता
फिर
रहे हो।
रात्रि को भी they have walked to night. Okay, so they are tired. So they may sleep. The mother will look out for hunt for a food now. Sunlight नहीं हो रहे. Now they need to regain the protein in their body.
Many waters.
Yeah. So there are only two waters. One on the left or one on the right. So
And what if she does not get up?
yeah, good. Good one. What if she just comes out and tells us all to them? It's on those rocks. Like, hey, bloody.
So, exploring one of the possibilities, we waited till the sun was up, hoping that they might make a movement then.
यहाँ पर कॉल तो चीतल काफी अंदर था यार,
काफी अंदर था
मतलब वो दलदली से काफी अंदर है, 150-200 मीटर तो आराम से होगा।
नाला है ना उधर।
While contemplating the possibilities, we thought that what if the calls that we heard were not only for the leopard but also for the tigers? What if Partdev had actually made a kill and was staying put in the area just ahead of the camp?
क्या पता रात में दिखा दी हो कुछ, इसीलिए फिर बच्चों को लेके आएगा।
Just then, we realized that we were sitting beside a salai tree, also known as frankincense tree. Frankincense tree has a lot of health benefits and is used in natural medicine. Along with that, it is also used in making perfumes, incense, essential oils, and gum. According to the New Testament, frankincense was one of the gifts the three magi presented to Jesus Christ at his birth.
ये सलाई तो जाना है। frankincense tree.
इसमें इसको जो बाहर ऐसे जो गोंद जो होता है ना वो बहुत अच्छा है।
After a long waiting period, when there was no evidence of their movement, we decided to head towards Collarwali's area and try our luck at sighting her. On our way, while exploring the jungle, we also learned some basic trivias of the forest. For instance, a fire line. A fire line is basically a strip of land within the forest that is cleared and created to control a fire outbreak in case there is one, so that something like this does not happen. Extra care has to be taken during winters as the dry grass blades tend to generate a fire due to friction. Since this strip of land has less obstacles, most tigers use it as a part of their primary route as well.
So this fire line is used by sometimes three different tigers. The male tiger, T74, T15, which is female, Collarwali, and this is like one of their primary routes. They use this route quite often. And excellent, it has the lantana on both sides, so it's good for them to cover and make a
Camouflage.
facial.
We also learned the meaning behind the names given to different places. For instance, Malkundam. The locals belong to the Gondia tribe, and in their language, Mal means peacock, and Kundam means a pond or a small water body. This particular water body attracted a lot of peacocks, and hence it came to be known as Malkundam. As we entered Collarwali's area, following up on the information we got in the morning,
वाली गुडलू पेट से अंदर हुई पूरा रोड ही रोड गई
हाँ
या तो लंबर बट्टा निकलेगी या तो फिर रिवर्स अपने धौड़ा स्क्रैच मार्क के पास निकलेगी
we decided to wait at the Dhauda scratch mark for a few minutes and check for evidence before moving on to Kullutek and Lambarmatta.
These are the scratch marks done by Collarwali. They're about 6.5, 7 feet off the ground. And they're quite old. You see that they're turned black. If they were fresh, we would have seen the fresh redness of the tree. This is the Dhavra tree, Indian axlewood tree.
Indian?
Axlewood. म्हणजे bullock carts, the axle for the bullock cart, what they keep on their shoulders, is that axle. Made out of this strong, flexible wood.
After waiting for a few minutes, we moved ahead.
थोड़ा आगे ले. Oh, missed it.
On reaching Kullutek, we did find pug marks in the middle of the road. But due to lack of evidence, we realized that she was no longer in this area. So now, back to our primary focus, Partdev. On our way out, we received some new information. We already knew that the jeeps coming from Karmajari gate had spotted a tiger. But now, we also know that the jeeps coming from Turya gate had spotted a leopard in the same area we are now exiting from, near Kullutek and Lambarmatta.
कितने लोगों को टाइगर देखा है? बस कर्मचारी की गाड़ी.
कर्मचारी वाले नहीं देखे
बाकी तुरिया का कोई नहीं. कहाँ पे?
वो भी इधर ही है
ये सामने मतलब कहाँ?
ये कुल्लू टेक के नीचे ना इधर.
Not only did we experience some major FOMO, but we also realized that we were in one of the toughest games of hide and seek. Our next stop was Bodhanala, exploring one of the possibilities that they might have walked till Bodhanala to quench their thirst and rest after their long walk. In Gondia language, a male Indian gaur is known as Bodha. Since a lot of Indian gaurs were spotted near this particular water body, it came to be known as Bodhanala. Indian gaur is the largest species among the wild cattle and is native to South Asia and Southeast Asia. They weigh somewhere around 500 to 700 kgs. Indian gaurs have been enlisted as a vulnerable species with the global population of somewhere around 21,000, majority of which are found in India. A safari is incomplete without bird watching. There are so many different species of birds with their unique beauty and peculiar sounds, along with some fascinating facts about them and their life cycles, that you are left in awe of nature. A few such birds that we got a chance to spot on our way were the plum-headed parakeet with its plum-colored head and orange beak. This particular one is a male, as the females have grey-colored heads. On reaching Bodhanala, we also saw the cormorants and the beautiful river terns. It's fascinating how nature has taken care of every little detail. For example, how the male birds are more colorful than the females. One of the reasons being that the males are in majority and they have to attract the females for mating. But the main reason why the females are duller is so that they can blend into their surrounding and do not attract predators when they are incubating or taking care of their young ones.
यहाँ पे है ना, बोधानाला के पास, क्योंकि आवाज आ रही थी। हाँ, कहाँ पे? वो साइड ना, यहाँ पे है ऐसे ना, बच्चों के भी लग ही रहा था मेरे को।
इधर आ गए हैं.
पूरा आ गया यहाँ पे. चालली बघ ती, खूप चालली. पिल्लांचं दोनाकडे पोट भरून ठेवलं आणि केवढी चालली आहे ती.
कुठे आली?
त्या बाजूला आहे म्हणजे चालत मधून होतो तो. आपण जे पंजे ऐकले ना ते या लाईनीतच असतं साधारण.
मग आपण जाऊ शकतो.
नाही, नो रोड. इकडे गेली वाटत होतं ते झालं, सीन केलंय तिथे परत. शी इज आउट ऑफ रेंज. लेट्स एक्सप्लोर.
Tigers usually move around to either hunt or mark their territory. During winters, they walk to generate internal heat, and during summers, they are often seen resting in shade and beside a water body. When a tiger has made a kill and also has water nearby, they rarely come out, decreasing the chances of a clear sighting. Out of all the what ifs, we now know for sure that Partdev has walked all the way to Bodhanala with her cubs. And the calls we heard might have also been for the tigers. But now she is in the non-tourism area of her territory, possibly with a kill, which means she's out of range. And with just a little time left, it was time for us to head back to the gate. Meanwhile, our guide kept giving us the information of the meaning behind different names. And he told us the meaning behind the name Partdev. The locals belong to the Gondia tribe. And according to tradition, a female once married cannot remarry, for which she has to take an oath in front of a rock deity called as Partdev. This process is called as Part Lagana. The tigress, who is commonly seen in this area where the rock deity is, came to be known as Partdev. Just then, as we were entering Collarwali's area, we heard deer and langur calls near Kullu Tek.
यहीं पे निकलने का
This was one of Collarwali's crossing points, and after this long day of no show, our eyes brightened and our hopes were up high as we were finally going to see something.
साइन करता.
Turns out it wasn't Collarwali, but a leopard instead who was sawing.
क्रॉस होने के चक्कर में वहीं पे रुक जा.
रुको और थोड़ा पीछे. बस 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 आ रहा है.
We could still hear the leopard sawing as we sat there feeling marveled by our sighting.
वो लेपर्ड ये कर रहा है, सॉइंग.
But just then, we heard another call.
जो आवाज येत होता लेपर्डचा, इट इज कॉल्ड सॉइंग बिकॉज व्हेन यू सॉ वुड असा आवाज येतो ना.
Why do they make that name?
फॉर अ कोड शिप. कॉलर वाली हो सकती है. जाने दो, पीछे जाने दो. ए, घुमा लो, वहाँ लगा.
We would be in for a real treat if we also see Collarwali in the same area right now.
And so we just heard a leopard sawing, and then we saw the leopard cross. And just as the leopard is crossing, we've also heard a few spotted deers from this side. And early morning, a few people had spotted a tiger go into that area. So maybe after the tiger heard the leopard saw, it has realized that there is a leopard close by, and it may be following the leopard and chase it away. This is T15, the living legend of Pench.
Oh.
Collarwali. Really hope it's so.
Unfortunately, we couldn't wait there for long, as we had to reach the gate before 11:30. But we left with a smile on our faces. There's this famous quote, "Great things happen when you least expect them." This sighting was one such moment, and no camera will ever be able to catch the essence of that moment or the beauty of the animal in the glistening sun. You have to be there to see it and to feel it.
POA for the morning safari is going on Route 2 and looking out for the mother with 5 cubs. So let's see how that goes.
Where was she seen yesterday? Any updates?
Yesterday she was seen on Tira, and today only she will tell us. She will
Indicate.
indicate that I am here, Rohit. Come catch me. Catch me if you can.
Pardev was seen near Tira yesterday evening. So we will be taking Route 2 and making our first stop there. Lucky for us, we are accompanied by a wildlife news channel who is here to cover a story on Pardev and her cubs. Lucky why? Because they have access to the non-tourism routes. So with their help, we can hope to gather more information on the tigers. As we entered the park, Krutika spotted a beautiful bird called Malabar pied hornbill. The hornbills have a fascinating nesting story. When the female is ready to lay eggs, she finds a place to build her nest, usually a hole in a tree. The male helps cover the nest with mud, which he moistens with his saliva. He leaves enough space for the female to penetrate her beak. The female stays inside for almost 3 to 4 months, during which she incubates her eggs and waits for the chicks to grow up. During this period, it is the male that provides them with food, making almost 60 trips a day. They also excrete their feces through the same hole so that its scent won't attract any predators. Before laying her eggs, the female sheds her flight feathers and uses it to form a cushion for her nest, on which she lays her eggs. She regrows them when she is ready to come out of her nest.
कृतिकाने एक खूप सुंदर पक्षी स्पॉट केलेला आहे. Malabar pied hornbill.
It's a rare bird.
4 होते. It's rare in this area. Definitely, it's actually also seen in the Western Ghats, and there are very few pockets in central India where you get to see the Malabar pied hornbill. One of them is Pench. There are a few in Kanha, some in Bandhavgarh, and none in Panna, in fact. So, अजून नॉर्थ गेल्यानंतर ते दिसतच नाही. So that was an excellent. I think this is the first time I'm spotting Malabar pied hornbills here in that area.
Oh.
Because of Kritika Gadi. Yeah. She's an excellent upcoming naturalist.
Before waiting at Tira, we decided to scout the area till Joda Munnara and check for evidence. On finding none, we started heading back. Just then, we heard a call at Arjal Matta, and just a few meters ahead, we saw a trail of pug marks that started and ended here.
आगे थोड़ा बड़ा पर अपन गए थे नहीं दिखाना अपन काफी गए आराम से तो नहीं दिख रहा लग रहा
At which point, the tiger cut through and disappeared into the woods. The pug marks were fresh, as they weren't there when we crossed this path earlier.
थोड़ा ऐसे कटे थोड़ा और जाना तो पीछे धीरे धीरे.
Realizing that the tiger was moving forward, we too rushed towards Tira. On reaching Tira, we saw that the wildlife news team was already there.
अंदर से दिखेगा आपको. हाँ, वो लेके आ रहे हैं.
And they confirmed that it was the mother that was walking towards her cubs. They know this for sure because the elephant patrol team was with them, and the tigers, all 6 of them, were just a few meters away from where we were parked.
ये गाड़ी है वो गाड़ी के सामने देखो, वो सामने देखो एकदम सीधा देखो वहां से गाड़ी के सामने वो क्या कर सकते हो, इधर इधर जा रहे हो, वो जा रहे हो, वो तो जा रहे हो पूरे, ये गाड़ी है ना, वो गाड़ी है उसके एकदम सामने दिखा और घर आ रहे तो डियर भागो लेफ्ट पे देखो, बस एक ही टाइगर दिखा मेरे को, नहीं एक टाइगर नहीं दो दो भी एक है। हां वाह मेरा टाइगर दो दिख रहा है आपको, चार आगे बच्चे हैं, बच्चे भी हैं मां भी है, हाँ ये पीछे उधर जा रहे हैं।
We could only catch a glimpse of the tigers as they were too far inside. But they were right in front of us, just a few meters ahead.
शायद ये गाड़ी वाला इधर से नहीं दिखता तो इधर तक आते हैं, वही तो बात है ना, एक बार हमको दिखा देते तो फिर आ रही थी रोड।
At one point, while they were crossing, all 6 of them turned and were headed straight towards us. But just then, they changed their direction and continued ahead. We thought it was because they saw one of the wildlife jeeps that was headed their way. But turns out, one of the cubs saw a deer and began chasing it, and so the rest followed.
हाँ वहाँ से दिख गया था,
वही फिर क्या हुआ ना कि वो बच्चा उधर डियर को देख के भागा, इनका मूवमेंट इधर ही आ रहे थे, यही से क्रॉस होते और वो एक
हाँ वही सोच रहे थे अगर आप नहीं जाते तो क्या
नहीं
मतलब
नहीं हमसे तो ये नहीं हुआ,
हाँ
वो एक डियर सामने खड़ा था,
हाँ
वो एक बच्चा दौड़ा उसके पीछे, तो फिर वो तीनों
डायरेक्शन ही बदल दी,
वो चेंज कर दिया डायरेक्शन,
नहीं तो ऐसे मजा आ जाता है।
नहीं रोड आ रहे थे ना, बता रहा था ना आपको,
नहीं हमको दिखे जाते हो
नहीं फिर वो इस तरफ कट गए ना, तो रोड आ रहे थे,
ये कटे तो कटे
कल सुबह देख लेंगे।
So the call we heard at Arjun Matta was for the mother moving towards the cubs where they were seen yesterday, and later on we were fortunate to see them.
So, where do you think she's heading now?
She will stay put now.
Okay.
Now let's see. Unfortunately, we had to leave that area to complete our route.
The Forest Department had passed a new rule that compelled each vehicle to mandatorily complete the route given to them at the gate. Earlier, jeeps used to spend hours in a place where they felt there could be a potential sighting. To avoid crowding in one area and to also make sure that the tourists get to explore the jungle, this new rule was implemented.
Let's see.
As we were nearing Hathigota and Joda Munnara, we heard deer calls. And on waiting there for a few minutes, we even heard a tiger roar. It was most likely to be Collarwali since we were near her area. Seeing a tiger is one thing, and hearing them roar is another, and the latter actually feels scary. And the tiger was right there, behind those bushes, and it sent a chill down our spines. Tigers use a great variety of vocalization for communication, some of them being growling, grunting, hissing, moaning, chuffing, and roaring. They also imitate sounds of other animals to attract prey. A tiger growls during aggressive encounters, especially territorial aggressions. Tigers make the hissing sound when they feel threatened, unsure, or fearful. Tigers mourn when they are trying to communicate with each other. It is the closest thing they have to a meow. Chuffing or pristine sounds are usually made when the tigers greet one another or their human keepers. This sound is also made during courting and when a mother is comforting her cubs. Tigers roar to attract attention, for example, a mother calling her offspring, or to make their presence and location known. They may also roar during mating.
Gone.
She went inside. Turns out there was an elephant nearby, and so the tiger went after it to chase it away.
हाथी के हाथ में हाथी के पीछे कॉलर वाली हाथी को पानी पी लाया.
Out of all the predators, tiger is the only one that can successfully hunt an adult elephant. However, it is a rare occurrence, as they both prefer to maintain a respectable distance from one another. The tiger had left the area, and it was time for us to start heading back to the gate. Some of the locals work in the forest to clear the lantanas. Lantanas aren't local to India. Moreover, they are an invasive species that interfere with the growth of other plants and trees by competing with them for nutrients. So it is important to keep them in check. The highlight of the day, apart from the beautiful sky, was hearing the tiger roar. This was the first time we had heard a tiger roaring, and it was an experience we will never forget.
It's a very cathartic sound. All emotions kind of surfacing.
The day where we learned the important lesson of always trusting our gut over any of the external voices.
Every person was giving an absolutely false image.
It was a new day, and learning from a leopard sighting, we decided to drop the chase and enjoy the jungle instead, secretly hoping that will actually help us sight the tigers.
We have been given Route 3 by destiny.
And we haven't tampered with it.
No, we haven't done it. We never tamper. The tigers only tamper us.
What are we going to do?
We're going to see the pink jungle, and
6 tigers together.
main focus is spotted deers. We are going to go and see spotted deer. They're very rare find.
Super rare
Find there.
Partdev and her cubs were last seen near Bhondwal-Dobri. So our plan of action is to take Route 3 and halt near Bhondwal-Dobri and Khamritara for our entire morning safari. Their movements have mostly been in that area, and even if they don't come out, we might get a glimpse of them just like yesterday, while we hope to see much more than that. The forest officers patrol the areas that are not accessible by vehicles. They walk for almost 8 to 10 kilometers daily. If they find a pug mark, they write down the GPS coordinates and other details, such as the size of the pug mark, whether it is male or female, and if it is fresh or old. In this manner, they keep a track of the tigers. So this is the point where it all began. As we entered the park, we received different information from different sources, and it was confusing as most of them were from trusted sources. The first information we had was that they were seen near Bhondwal-Dobri. The second information came from the guides living in the Khamba Khamrit villages situated at the edge of the core area. The villages are so close that they can hear calls and tiger sounds while sitting at home. They told us that they heard sambar calls around 5 a.m. in the morning from an area that lies between the camps 39 and 38.
मतलब खंबा साइड में जो कैंप है या वो अभी जहाँ हाथी है
दोनों कैंप के बीच में खारा नाला है.
हरा नाला के आगे और खामरेड के बीच में ना
38-39 के बीच.
चल.
On reaching Camp 39, the third information we got was that they had heard no calls and that the tigers were headed toward Pitazari yesterday evening itself.
कॉल था शाम को निकल गया.
कितने बजे?
सुबह कॉल थे ना इधर 5 बजे के आसपास. अच्छा.
मेरे को क्या पता इसका क्या हो रहा है। तो पिछले बार भी ऐसे ही कुछ तो बोल के गए थे और टाइगर कहीं और ही थे। चलते एक बार आगे तक चेक करते हैं।
The officials from Camp 38 that we met on our way also claimed to have heard no calls.
वहाँ पे कुछ रात में वगैरह कुछ आवाज
नहीं, अभी भी नहीं। इधर कॉल थे क्या रात में 5 बजे के आसपास? नहीं थे।
इनको ट्रेनिंग
Not wanting to leave any stone unturned, we scouted the whole area from the camps to Pitazeri and back to Khamri Tira. While waiting at Khamri Tira, we met the wildlife news team who told us that since the time they left this area yesterday, they haven't come back and that they have no idea about the calls or any information of the tigers moving to Pitazeri.
कल गए तो वापस कहाँ हैं?
क्योंकि आज अजय वगैरह वो सब वहां से आते हैं सतोजा से, तो वो सब बोल रहे थे कि दोनों कैंप के बीच में आवाज। अभी कैंप वाले से पूछे तो वो बोला टाइगर यहाँ पे पिटेजरी निकल गए। बोल
पता नहीं, हम तो कल गए थे वहाँ, यहाँ से देखे नहीं तुमने? जब से वापस ही नहीं आए।
आइस नहीं है। अंदर भी जाके आए, वो बोले जैसे बोले पिटेजरी गई है। मैं पूरा अंदर का भी राउंड मार के आ गया, चला वहां से क्रॉस करके अंदर तो नहीं है। नहीं, हम तो यही पे रुक रहे, देख लो।
Having said that, they headed inwards in the non-tourism zone. While we were contemplating which information was accurate, we met the Mahavats.
यहाँ से लगभग 1 किलोमीटर।
6 के 6
पानी की बंदोबस्त है क्या? कुछ
पानी है क्या वहाँ पे?
पानी है ना।
And the Mahavats told us that the tigers were just 1 kilometer inside from where we were parked.
The only person I found trustworthy was that Mahavat who said कि अंदर 1 किलोमीटर में बैठे हैं, and that is yeah.
Out of all the information provided by various sources, only the Mahavats were right. The tigers had been there all along, and we felt as though we had been taken for a ride. We sat there disappointed in ourselves for not sticking to our original plan and not trusting our instincts over those of others. But it wasn't like the safari was completely uneventful. It was truly amazing to see our guide spot something like this from a fair distance.
आपको कैसे दिखाई दिया?
ज्यादातर एक ही जगह में रहते ही है।
हाँ।
Our very first sighting of an owl, a pair of the Indian scops owl, camouflaged and peacefully sitting in a tree. The long waiting period also made us appreciate the basic things in life that normally go unnoticed. On our last day, we were accompanied by a young couple who were celebrating their first marriage anniversary.
ये मराठी है, मैं साउथ का हूँ।
2 states एकदम।
2 states 2 religion, हम शादी भी किए थे।
Oh, good. Hi.
Hi.
How
And I've
excited
taken
are
the
you?
front seat today.
And you've changed your vastu, right?
Sort of. So let's see how that works.
Who hasn't been superstitious and worn their lucky t-shirts or sat in their lucky places? When on a safari, we do the same.
Do you understand Marathi?
हाँ, मैं अभी यहाँ पे हूँ, मैं अभी 20-25 साल हो गए।
20-25 साल। We have gotten route 3 for the morning safari today, and we are going to hope and not hope, we will possibly come across a big cat.
Route 3 passes through Collarwali's area, and she was spotted near Kullutek yesterday. One of the guides also found pug marks in this region. So, we will scout this area first and then make our way to Kullutek.
ब्रिलियंट जॉब।
डेडली जंप था वो।
सुबह का जॉगिंग कर रही हूँ।
When we didn't find any pug marks in the mentioned area, we headed straight to Kullutek.
सीधा वहाँ ले लो, कहीं रोकना नहीं है। विपद क्या बोला? पंजे कहाँ तक लगे? यहाँ तक। ले लो अभी। कहाँ दिख रहे हैं? देखे आपने बंदे?
मैंने पीछे देखा था, यहाँ नहीं देखा।
ऐसे पीछे जाने के ना घुमा लो यार गाड़ी।
We found pug marks at the Joda Munnara Tiraha, which were heading backwards. So we turned our jeep and placed ourselves here. At which point we heard a deer call, and so we rushed in that direction.
पहले वो रोड पे तो डाल लो, यहाँ पे डाल लो गाड़ी।
यहीं टेकड़े में तो टाइगर सामने वो जहाँ ढलान दिख रहा है ना, वहाँ जाके रोक दिया। हाँ, वो डियर भाग रहे हैं सामने।
वो देखो, देख रहा है, वो देख रहा है।
और आगे
वो आगे निकल गया, आगे 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 आगे
आगे लो, जल्दी आगे लो,
बस बस
आगे लो, आगे जाने दो।
T15, Collarwali, one of the most famous tigers in India and the star of Pench National Park, the first tiger in Pench to be fitted with a radio collar, hence the name. Pench had rare tiger sightings before her birth, but soon after, she became one of the most sighted tigresses, friendly, bold, and confident. In her lifespan of over 16 years, she holds the world record of giving birth to 29 cubs, for which she is affectionately known as Mata Ram. Tourism in Pench increased after she starred in a BBC wildlife documentary, Spy in the Jungle. Collarwali is an intelligent tigress. She often lies in the open whenever she is wounded or troubled, as if she was waiting to be helped by the humans who take care of her. She is a true celebrity, not afraid, nor bothered by the paparazzis. Walking right in the middle of the road with the perfect catwalk and posing for the cameras. You can see her confidence and feel her aura. She gave us 5 whole minutes of her life. And then, leaving the paps content with their sighting, she disappeared into her territory. What an honor it was. Ever notice these white spots behind a tiger's ears? These serve as false eyes so that potential predators are under the impression that the tiger is alert and watching them. When the tiger feels threatened, he twists his ears to reveal these spots, making him look more aggressive. How are you all feeling?
Wow, very nice. Thank you so much, Rohit. Thank you to Rohit.
ये कुछ नहीं हुआ ना,
Best
उधर कुछ नहीं हुआ ना, पीछे थे ना तुम लोग।
हो गया, यहाँ से गाड़ी घुमाते हैं, अब जंगल घूमते हैं।
हाँ,
ठीक है,
लक्ष्य की तरफ जाएंगे।
हाँ,
आपने देखा कि नहीं लेकिन?
नहीं, हमको कोई दिखाना आपको था। ये कॉलरवाली टाइग्रेस है, 17 साल की एज में इसने 29 कप्स देने का रिकॉर्ड रखी है।
अच्छा,
लेजेंडरी काम कर दिया।
लेजेंडरी टाइगर देख लिया आपने?
लेजेंडरी टाइगर भी देख लिया, राइट।
राम सिंह, गुड जॉब।
ये भी मैं लिख लो।
देखा, ये आपकी वास्तु है, मेरे साथ जब आओगे वहां पे, यहाँ पे बैठा तो आप वहाँ।
one of the most beautiful trees in the dry deciduous forest is the kullu ka ped. It changes its color with seasons, ranging from pale peach to bright copper. And because it looks fluorescent in moonlight, it is also called as the ghost tree. It is usually used to make gum. my favorite part of the morning, to see the sun streaming through the trees. While we were enjoying the beauty of the forest, we got information that wild dogs, also known as dholes, were spotted near Salaitek. A pack of dholes are the most feared in the jungle. Even a tiger will avoid confrontation with them. Moreover, spotting wild dogs is rarer than seeing a tiger. So, we didn't want to miss this opportunity.
वाइल्ड डॉग घुमा लो घुमा लो वाइल्ड डॉग भी हाँ
कहाँ पे जा रहे हो भाई? रुके
On our way to Salaitek, we stopped to capture this beautiful sight in our minds. An interesting fact about deers is that when you see a velvety coat around their antlers, it indicates that they have newly acquired them. And as the antlers continue to grow, the deers start rubbing them against a tree, shedding this coat. This action leaves a red mark on the tree. It's quite like unwrapping a new gift, similar to removing the plastic cover from the handles of a newly bought bike.
वाइल्ड डॉग दिखेगा? बहुत पी के साथ बोल रहे हैं सलाई टेक में दिख रहा है कहाँ पे? यहाँ से जाओगे तो लेफ्ट या राइट पे?
On our way, we did find a kill on the left side of the road, a deer kill made by the wild dogs early morning. The law of the jungle was in action. After the wild dogs were done feeding, came the jackal, while the crows patiently waited for their turn. And once the jackal was done, the crows flew in. On our way, our guide asked to stop the jeep near a tree. He spotted something that was impossible for an untrained eye to see. It took me 10 minutes, a dozen instructions, and a pair of binoculars to see what he had spotted. Before revealing what it was, take 10 seconds to try and find it yourself. If you have spotted the owl, congratulations. It means that you have a good eye for detail. And if you have spotted a baby along with the owl, then you deserve an ovation. Another pair of the Indian scops owl. Only this time, we didn't know their location beforehand. A few meters ahead, we even spotted a crested hawk eagle. The crested hawk eagle, with its feathered crest, is a bird of prey. The name hawk eagle means that these birds are agile predators and easily vary their prey selection between mammals, reptiles, vertebrates, and birds like eagles. The color of their feathers keep changing from dark to pale and vice versa, giving rise to the word changeable. It was during breakfast that day that I realized that the Jungle Book was set in the Pench forest. After having a hearty meal, the wild dogs picked a beautiful spot by a water body to take their peaceful afternoon nap. Content with a beautiful day, leaving the wild dogs to rest, we started heading back. This was our last safari, or so we thought. The surprise element was the sweetest gesture and the best birthday gift. How are you feeling?
Overwhelmed, excited. So it is arranged for a surprise last safari.
One last try to spot Pardev and her cubs.
Just trying our best.
Yes.
Try करने में क्या जाता है बर्थडे गिफ्ट दूंगा नहीं उसको कुछ तो इंजरी हो गिर गया कहीं से उसको पता ही नहीं कि माउस की साइड में चली गई ए तात्या मम्मी चली गई तेरी उसको पता ही नहीं है
The last safari felt different. It was surreal, and I couldn't help but wonder what made it so different. This was the first time we were not chasing anything. We had no forethought. We were completely there, in the moment. It was like the jungle had always been there, but we were experiencing it for the first time. The different smells, sounds, the wind, the sun. It felt clean and pure. That feeling was nature, the simplest of pleasures and the principal learning tool. There is so much it can offer, if only we are willing to seek. For one, it is a true example of unity in diversity. There are multiple species of birds, plants, and animals, all living harmoniously in an interdependent, well-balanced ecosystem. If we were to draw parallels between nature and human nature, we will find some important lessons hidden in them. For example, if one kale could satiate the hunger of 3 different species, it shows that there was plenty for each one of them. But it was only possible because the wild dogs took only as much as they needed, and the jackal and crows patiently waited for their turn. There is much to be learned from tigers as well. Tigers are secure, confident, and independent. A tiger does not need external validation or prove his royalty. He believes he is the king, and others just believe in his belief. They have even mastered the art of healthy detachment. Once they learn the trick of the trade from their mother, they leave to create a life of their own. A tiger is whole and complete all by himself. He draws his boundaries and spends his entire life maintaining them, creating a world of his own. No matter how powerful he is, he recognizes his limits and keeps away from potential threat. But when it comes to a fight, he gives in his all. Anybody who has seen a tiger will agree that they will leave the jungle feeling more empowered. Our experiences in the past few days taught me that good things happen when you least expect them. And when your mind is crowded with voices, always go with your gut. Being so close to nature changes your perspective. We didn't end up seeing Parthiv and her cubs, but it didn't mean that we failed. It simply meant that a mother won. She did a great job at protecting her cubs and maintaining their privacy. This experience taught me 2 things. One is humility. We as humans might be at the top of the food chain, but in the home of the animals, we are just guests, which means we cannot call the shots in their house. Things may not go according to our expectations, but all we can do is to accept and make the most of what the jungle has to offer. The second insight I had is that if you chase something or want something too bad, it'll go further away from you. Let go instead, and you might just get something better than you had imagined. That evening, after our last safari, we sat in the warmth of the bonfire, looking at the coal turning red hot, giving out a spark and leading to a fire. I realized that there is always hope. All we need to do is be patient and keep at it. Surely, we left feeling disappointed, but it was only after a month that I could see the whole picture, and it made complete sense. We thought it was our only chance at spotting the 6 tigers together, but in reality, it was our last chance at sighting the legendary Collarwali. As she passed away just a month after our sighting, what makes it remarkable is that she took her last breath on 15th January, which also happens to be the day Kritika and I were born. And that day, remembering her, we celebrated her life, her legacy. As mentioned earlier, good things come to those who wait. Here's a reward for your patience and an incentive to always be hopeful. This is an exclusive footage of Parthiv with her cubs, captured just a few days before our arrival in Pench. Turns out, this was probably the last time they were sighted together.
Y esta canción está especialmente dedicada